Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
The kitchen smelled of burnt toast and betrayal at 6:45 a.m. on a rainy November morning in 2025. I stood by the counter of our Seattle townhouse, staring at the plate of eggs and toast my wife, Emily, had set before me with a smile that didn't quite reach her green eyes. "Made your favorite, Michael," she said, her voice as smooth as the polished granite countertop we'd installed back when our marriage felt solid. "You've been working so hard lately." "Hard," I echoed, forcing a smile, though my grip on the coffee mug tightened. Hard didn't even begin to cover it. "I'm Michael Harper, 42, a data security consultant at Cascade Tech, the kind of guy who spends his days building firewalls and exposing malicious code. But for the last 4 months, I'd been running a different kind of penetration test on my own marriage, and the results were damning. Emily, my wife of 18 years, had been cheating. The late-night project meetings, the design addresses that appeared out of nowhere, the phone she guarded with military precision, it all pointed to one truth. She wasn't mine anymore. The eggs smelled faintly off, a sour undertone beneath the butter. I poked them with my fork, cautious. "You added something new." "Just a little spice," she said lightly, her fingers drumming on the counter. "My brother David suggested it. He said it's good for stress." David. The name was acid on my tongue. He wasn't her brother, he was her colleague at the architecture firm where she worked as a project manager. David Lawson, 38, divorced, with a reputation for charisma and the habit of leaning too close to married women. I'd seen the way he looked at her during their last office gala, like she was already his. Emily's older sister, Rachel, had been staying with us that week. She sat in the living room now, scrolling through her tablet, sipping green tea, her sharp eyes darting toward me with thinly veiled disdain. She'd never approved of me, said I was boring, too practical for someone as vibrant as Emily. I lifted the plate, sniffing again. The scent was wrong, chemical, almost medicinal. My instincts kicked in, the same instincts that had me spotting injected malware in a sea of clean code. This wasn't cooking, it was sabotage. "Smells unique," I said carefully, sliding the plate back. "Maybe Rachel would like some. She's been up early too." Emily's face stiffened. "She's fine. She already ate." "Really?" I called into the living room. "Rachel, want to try Emily's special eggs?" She said David recommended the spice. Rachel looked up, smirking. "Oh, I'd love to," she said, standing and sauntering into the kitchen. "What's in it, Em?" "Your new detox blend." Emily's jaw clenched. "Something like that." I spooned a small portion onto a plate and slid it toward Rachel. She took a bite, smirking until her face flushed crimson. Within minutes she excused herself, clutching her stomach. The bathroom door slammed shut, followed by unmistakable sounds of misery. Emily froze, her mask cracking. "Maybe she's not feeling well," she muttered. "Maybe not," I said calmly, sipping my coffee, the one thing I'd prepared myself. "But we should take care of her. She is family, after all." My phone buzzed. A text from Mia, our 16-year-old daughter. "Dad, Aunt Rachel's freaking out in the bathroom." "What's going on?" Another from Ethan, our 19-year-old son at college. "Dad, Aunt Ori's blowing up the family chat about bad food. Everyone's asking questions." I scrolled to see Rachel's frantic post. "Something's wrong with the food here. Send help." Followed by vomiting emojis. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Chen, our neighbor, stood outside with a tray of dumplings, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Heard Rachel wasn't feeling well," she said, peeking past me. "Thought comfort food might help." "That's very kind," I said, raising my voice so neighbors on their porches could hear. "She had some of Emily's special eggs. Really cleaned her out." Mrs. Chen's eyebrows shot up. "Special eggs? What kind?" Before I could answer, Rachel shouted from the bathroom, "Emily, what did you put in those eggs?" "I'm dying." Phones appeared in neighbors' hands, recording, ready to gossip. Emily's face turned white. I closed the door, turning back to her. "Want to tell me what was in those eggs?" She looked away, scrubbing the pan as if it were evidence. "I don't know what you're talking about." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Emily, I notice patterns for a living. I've noticed your late-night texts to David, the hotel receipts, the gym bag stuffed with lingerie you don't wear for me, and now, eggs that smell like a pharmacy experiment. Her hand trembled, the sponge slipping from her grip. You've been spying on me. I've been paying attention. Her mask hardened. You're paranoid, Michael. Always have been. David is just a colleague. David Lawson, I said evenly. The one with the Tesla. The one who calls you at 3 a.m. The one whose cologne lingers on your clothes when you come home from work. Her eyes flashed. You think you're clever. He makes me feel alive, Michael. Not stuck in spreadsheets and server rooms. I smiled coldly. And those eggs, were they meant to calm me down before my presentation today? Or make me sick enough to look unstable? Before she could answer, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Chicago this weekend, babe. Hope the plan worked. I held it up. Oops, I said. Looks like David texted the wrong Harper. Her face drained of blood. Michael. It's not what you think. I pocketed the phone, stepping past her toward the door. What plan, Emily? Poison me. Discredit me. Empty our accounts while I'm down. Her silence was my answer. Where are you going? She called after me, her voice shaking. Chicago, I said. I hear it's nice this time of year. The Chicago Marriott was exactly the kind of place Emily would pick for an affair, sleek, upscale, anonymous. I sat in a rented Prius in the underground garage, laptop open on the passenger seat. The glow of my custom tracking app painting my face in blue light. It hadn't been hard to slip a GPS tag into Emily's SUV weeks earlier. She wasn't supposed to be in Chicago until Friday at least. That's what she told me, a networking trip. But there she was, checking into the Marriott at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. And not alone. David Lawson was right beside her. Tailored blazer, easy smile, hand brushing against her lower back as they walked across the lobby. Emily wore a red dress I hadn't seen before, the kind that hugged curves with deliberate intent. She laughed at something he whispered, her eyes lit in a way they hadn't been for me in years. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia. Dad, Mom said she's in Chicago for work, but her laptop's still on the dining table. She must have left in a hurry. Smart kid. I typed back quickly. Thanks. Stay with Ethan tonight. Okay. I slid the camera strap over my neck and followed them into the hotel bar. Keeping to the shadows. The bar was dim, polished wood gleaming under amber light. The perfect place for a whispered secrets. Emily and David sat at a corner table. He fed her a cherry from his cocktail, and she took it between her lips with a smile that belonged to another life. My life once. Not anymore. I snapped photos, each shutter click a knife in my chest. Another buzz. This time from Ethan. Dad, Aunt Rachel's posting that you're unstable. Says you poisoned her. Family's blowing up about it. I scrolled quickly. Rachel's latest post. Michael's lost it. Tried to poison me with special eggs. I'm worried about Emily. Unhinged. The comments were brutal. Neighbors and relatives piling on, convinced by Rachel's dramatics. Emily's narrative was already spreading, painting me as the dangerous one. One looked up just in time to see Emily and David disappear into the elevator, his hand sliding possessively around her waist. The panel lit up. 10th floor, room 1012. I followed them at a distance, then diverted into the parking garage. David's Tesla was parked diagonally across the spots, vanity plate Davlor gleaming like arrogance itself. I photographed it from every angle, timestamps and GPS tags embedded automatically by my app. Evidence. Cold, irrefutable. Just as I turned back toward my car, a voice cut through the air. What the hell are you doing here? Emily's voice. Sharp. Panicked. She stood near the elevator, hair tousled, her face flushed. Michael, are you following me? Documenting, I said calmly, raising the camera. Her eyes flicked to the lens, horror flashing. You're stalking me. This is harassment, says the woman sneaking off with her boyfriend in the middle of the week. I took another photo deliberately, the shutter echoing in the concrete garage. Room 1012. Bar tab. Car parked illegally. Looks like solid evidence to me. Her voice lowered. Dangerous. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, I do. I stepped closer, voice steady. I know about the money transfers, the secret credit card, the offshore account in the Caymans. You think a cybersecurity consultant can't track that? Her lips parted in shock. She hadn't expected me to know. Michael, she started. But then the elevator dinged and David stepped out, shirt collar undone, smirk plastered on his face. Babe, what's taking so long? His eyes landed on me, and the smirk faltered. Oh, the husband. That's right, I said. The boring one, the predictable one, the one who still owns this house, this family, and half the accounts you've been funneling money into. Emily's cheeks flushed crimson. This isn't what you think. I cut her off, raising the camera. Smile, Emily. You're both on record now. David snarled, stepping forward. Give me that camera. I pointed up to the corner, where a red light blinked steadily. Smile again, David. The Marriott security system just caught this whole exchange. Want to go explain it to the front desk? Or maybe a judge? His jaw tightened. He pulled Emily by the arm toward the elevator. Let's go. She hesitated, looking back at me with something like fear or fury. I couldn't tell. Run all you want, I called after them, my voice echoing through the garage. You'll be waiting when the story breaks. And trust me, it's going to break hard. By Thursday morning, Rachel's bathroom saga had exploded across social media. Her dramatic post about the poisoned eggs had gone viral in our Seattle suburb, twisted into a grotesque narrative where I was the villain. Facebook groups lit up with speculation. Michael's lost it. Poor Emily. She must be terrified. Every ping of my phone was another knife. Neighbors, colleagues, even relatives chiming in with comments like, "Didn't expect this from him," or "Emily deserves better." I sat at my desk in Cascade Cyber, a consulting firm where he'd built my career securing corporate networks, staring out at the grey Puget Sound. The irony was sharp. I spent my days protecting clients from sabotage, yet my own life was under siege. My boss, Karen Lynn, appeared in the doorway. 50, sharp as a scalpel. She never wasted words. Michael, what the hell is going on? I've got clients calling about Rachel's posts. They're asking if you're unstable. I turned my monitor toward her. Photos filled the screen. Emily and David at the Marriott bar, his hand on her waist. Their drinks half finished. A timestamp glowed at the bottom. Irrefutable. Karen's eyes narrowed. That's David Lawson, partner at Pinnacle Design. And Emily caught red-handed, I said flatly. Rachel's spinning poison stories because she's covering for her sister. They tried to drug me before my board meeting last week. Karen's expression softened just slightly. Michael, this is ugly. Pinnacle's one of our biggest clients. If this goes public, it could wreck both companies, which is exactly why Emily thought she could get away with it, I replied. She counted on me staying silent. Karen folded her arms. Document everything. Every text, every transfer. Protect yourself first. I nodded. Already on it. That afternoon, my daughter Mia called, her voice shaky. Dad, Mom told my counselor, you've been drinking too much, that you're scaring me. She says you're dangerous. I froze, rage simmering. Mia, that's not true. She's trying to make me look unstable. I know, she whispered, because yesterday she brought David here, to our house. I saw them kissing in the den. The phone nearly slipped from my hand. She what? She told me not to tell you. Said you'd overreact. My chest tightened. Emily hadn't just betrayed me, she'd paraded her affair in front of our daughter. Mia, listen to me. You did the right thing. None of this is your fault. I promise you will fix it. That night, I called Sarah Vorse, my old friend turned divorce attorney, a woman with a reputation for tearing apart cheaters in court. Michael, she said, her voice brisk over the phone. I've already seen Rachel's posts. What do you have for me? Photos of Emily and David, bank records transfers to an offshore account, and she tried to drug me last week before a major client presentation. Sarah whistled softly. That's not just infidelity. That's attempted assault. Send me everything. We'll file for divorce citing adultery, fraud, and misconduct. With this evidence, you stand a strong chance of primary custody. I hesitated. Mia already saw them together. In our home. She's hurting. Then we move fast, Sarah said. The longer Emily controls the narrative, the more damage she'll do. Get me the files tonight. When I pulled into the driveway later, Emily's car was already there. Through the living room window, I saw her silhouette, elegant, poised, like nothing was wrong. David sat beside her on the sofa, swirling a glass of my best Merlot. I walked in, camera bag still slung over my shoulder. Comfortable, David. He grinned, showing perfect teeth. Just keeping Emily company. In my house, I said, my voice low, in front of my daughter. Emily's eyes narrowed. Mia exaggerates. You're poisoning her against me. I stepped closer, pulling printed photos from my bag. Emily laughing at the Marriott bar, David feeding her a cherry. I slapped them onto the coffee table. Evidence doesn't exaggerate. Emily's face flushed crimson. You followed me. You're insane. Insane. I laughed coldly. Insane is bringing your boyfriend into our home. Insane is trying to drug your husband with Rachel's help. David leaned forward, smug. Careful, Michael. You sound paranoid. Courts don't look kindly on paranoia. I pulled out my phone, tapping the screen. A blinking icon lit up. One push. And this recording goes straight to Sarah's office. Audio, video, transfers, everything. Emily's bravado faltered. David's smirk faded. This isn't over, Emily hissed. No, I said, stepping back, my voice like ice. It's just beginning. Friday morning, I walked into First Pacific Bank with Sarah Vorse at my side. Her navy suit and sharp heels clicked against the marble floor, a battle drum announcing war. By 10 a.m., the joint accounts Emily once relied on were frozen, credit cards cancelled, and what remained had been funneled into a trust for Mia and Ethan's education. Sarah slid the paperwork into her briefcase with a satisfied smile. He's going to lose it when he finds out. Let him, I said, the words tasting like steel. He's been bleeding me dry 4 months. Now he'll know what it feels like. By noon, the calls started. My boss Karen texted first. Emily's at the office with David. Security had to escort them out. She was screaming about her accounts being frozen. I couldn't help but smile grimly. Checkmate, I muttered. But this wasn't over. My phone buzzed again. Ethan, my son, calling from college. His voice was tense. Dad, some guy showed up at my dorm. Said he was from a law firm. Started asking if you've been drinking. If you've ever yelled at Mom. I told him to get lost. But he knew stuff about MIA's school. Even about our cabin. Did you guess a name? I asked, already bracing for the answer. John Smith. Obviously fake. But I snapped a photo of his car. The photo came through seconds later. A rental sedan. License plate clear as day. I ran it through a database I had access to at work. The result made my blood boil. Registered to a shell company linked to Mark Lawson, David's brother. A shady attorney with a reputation for dirty tricks. Emily and David weren't just smearing me on social media. They were building a case to have me declared unstable. That evening, when I got home, Emily was waiting. She sat at the dining table like a queen, sipping wine from a glass that wasn't hers to drink. David leaned casually against the counter, his smirk irritatingly familiar, like a mosquito you couldn't swat. You froze our accounts. Emily snapped. I protected our kids' future, I said evenly. From you. David stepped forward, his voice dripping arrogance. You've crossed a line, Caldwell. You're paranoid, vindictive, and unstable. Well, make sure the court sees it. Funny, I said, pulling my laptop from my bag. With a few keystrokes, the screen lit up with GPS data, transaction logs, hotel footage. This is Claire's Tesla at the Marriott. This is you, David, swiping your card for the suite. And these. I clicked again, and intercepted text logs filled the screen. Well, bury him. Make him look insane. Soon he'll be gone. Emily's face drained of color. David stiffened, his fake confidence cracking. You hacked my phone. Emily hissed. I secured my family, I replied. There's a difference. David laughed, but the sound was hollow. No one will believe you. Then let's ask a judge, I said, my finger hovering over the send button. Every photo, Every log, every text already backed up in the cloud. One click, and Sarah Vorse has everything. Emily slammed her glass down, shards of red wine spraying across the table. You think you've won. You've only made me more determined. I leaned closer, meeting her green eyes head on. Good. I'd hate for this to be easy. That night, Mia walked into the living room, her backpack still slung over her shoulder. Her eyes darted between us, wide with fear. What's going on? Go upstairs, sweetheart, I said softly. This is grown-up stuff. Emily shot me a venomous look, but MIA's voice trembled as she spoke. I saw you, Mom, with David, in our house. I told Dad because I couldn't keep lying. The silence was deafening. Emily's mouth opened, but no words came. David looked at her, his smirk gone, replaced by something close to panic. Kids don't lie, I said coldly. But cheaters do. Monday morning dawned grey and heavy, rain streaking down the windows of our Seattle townhouse. I tightened my tie in the mirror, staring at a face I barely recognized, tired, hardened, but resolute. Today wasn't just about divorce filings or custody. Today was war in the open. At the courthouse, the air smelled of old wood and disinfectant, thick with whispers from families clutching folders of broken promises. Sarah Vorse met me at the steps, her briefcase bulging with evidence. We've got them, she said, her voice crisp. Now let's spring the trap. Inside Judge Nakamura's courtroom, Emily sat at the defendant's table, her expression a mask of innocence wrapped in expensive silk. Her lover David leaned in the gallery, trying to look casual, but his twitching fingers betrayed him. Rachel, Emily's sister, sat behind them, arms crossed, glaring at me as if I were the villain. Paul Carter, Emily's slick attorney, adjusted his cufflinks before launching in. Your Honor, my client is the victim of harassment, surveillance, and intimidation. Mr. Caldwell has been acting erratically, freezing accounts, and poisoning family relationships. We have witnesses prepared to testify to his instability. Judge Nakamura raised an eyebrow. Noted. Proceed. Sarah rose smoothly, her presence commanding. Your Honor, what we have here is not instability, but a calculated campaign by Mrs. Caldwell to sabotage her husband, frame him, and cover up her ongoing affair with David Lawson. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Emily's jaw tightened. Sarah laid out the evidence, like laying bricks for a bridge, steady, uncheckable. We present GPS logs showing Mrs. Caldwell at the Marriott with Mr. Lawson, transaction records of hotel stays, offshore transfers, and fraudulent credit applications, intercepted text messages between Mrs. Caldwell and Mr. Lawson, planning to paint Mr. Caldwell as unstable. She clicked a remote, and on the courtroom screen appeared a message Emily had sent just days earlier. Well, bury him in court. He'll look crazy. Then we're free. The words hung in the air like smoke after a gunshot. Objection. Carter barked. This evidence was obtained illegally. On the contrary, Sarah cut in, her tone ice. Mr. Caldwell is a cybersecurity consultant with full legal access to his own household devices and accounts. This is admissible. Judge Nakamura nodded. Overruled. Continue. David shifted in his seat, sweat beading his forehead. Sarah turned her attention to him. Mr. Lawson, are you aware that your brother Mark rented a car registered to a shell company used to stalk Ethan Caldwell at his college dorm? David froze, glancing at Emily, then at Carter. I don't recall. Would these photos refresh your memory? Sarah held up Ethan's snapshot of the rental plate, alongside registration records. Perjury is a felony. Mr. Lawson. David swallowed hard. I might have visited the campus. Emily hissed. Don't say anything. But it was too late. Finally, Sarah brought out the pièce de résistance, a short audio clip, recorded during one of Emily and David's kitchen conferences. Emily's voice filled the room. If we can get Michael declared unstable, custody is mine. David, once this is done, will be untouchable. The silence that followed was crushing. Even Rachel looked stunned, her arms falling slack. Judge Nakamura leaned forward, her expression hard as granite. Mrs. Caldwell, this court has no tolerance for schemes that endanger children or attempt to weaponize the legal system. Temporary custody of Mia is granted to Mr. Caldwell. This court also refers allegations of fraud and conspiracy to the district attorney's office. The gavel cracked like thunder. Court adjourned. In the hallway, Emily's mask finally cracked. She lunged toward me, her eyes wild, her voice a venomous hiss. "You think you've won? This isn't over." I met her gaze calmly. "No, Emily, it's just beginning for you." David tried to slink away, but Sarah blocked his path with a cold smile. "Don't wander too far, Mr. Lawson. The doll will want a word." That night, I sat at the kitchen table with Mia across from me, her eyes wide, but calmer than I'd seen in weeks. "Is Mom going to jail?" she asked softly. I sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I don't know yet, but what I do know is you're safe now." She leaned against me, her voice a whisper. "I believe you, Dad." For the first time in months, I felt the weight begin to lift. The trap had sprung, and Emily was caught in her own web. Saturday morning. The mist over Puget Sound clung low, like the world itself was holding its breath. I drove Mia and Ethan to our old family cabin on Whidbey Island, trying to give them a sense of normalcy, the smell of cedar and sea salt wrapping around us like a shield. But peace never lasts long when betrayal runs this deep. Ethan showed me a photo he'd taken the night before, a rental car parked near his dorm again. Same shell company, same trail back to Mark Lawson. "They're still watching us, Dad," he said, his voice tight with anger. I called Sarah immediately. Within hours, we had a small task force assembled to deputies, Sarah and Jake Nguyen, my colleague from Cascade Tech, who'd helped me dig through Emily's encrypted files. We traced Emily and David's movements through the GPS logs I'd been quietly collecting. They were holed up at a rundown motel near the Canadian border. Danielle's old BMW parked out front, David's fingerprints all over the rental paperwork. We pulled up under the neon flicker of the motel sign. My pulse hammered, but my voice was steady when I called out, "Emily, David, come out now. This is over." The door creaked open. Emily stepped into the drizzle, her once perfect hair tangled, her silk blouse wrinkled. For a moment, she looked like a stranger. "Michael," she said, her voice wavering between pleading and venom. "We can fix this. Don't do this to our family." David appeared behind her, his jaw clenched, his hand shoved deep into his jacket pocket. My stomach twisted as I saw the outline of cold steel. Deputy Larson's hand went to his holster. "Drop it, Lawson." David pulled the gun, his eyes wild. "We had a plan. You weren't supposed to ruin it. Look around you," I said, my voice low but sharp. "There are cameras, witnesses. This isn't a secret anymore, it's a live feed straight to the authorities." Jake held up his tablet. The motel's grainy security came streaming to the county sheriff's server. David hesitated, the gun trembling. Emily shrieked, "Do something." But the weight of reality crashed down. Larson fired a warning shot into the gravel, and the sound broke David like glass. He dropped the weapon, falling to his knees. Emily tried to run, but Jake intercepted her, and within seconds, deputies had them both in cuffs. In the rain-soaked parking lot, Emily's eyes locked on mine, hatred twisting her features. "You'll regret this, Michael. You've destroyed me." "No," I said quietly. "You destroyed yourself." 6 months later, Emily was convicted of fraud, conspiracy, and attempted assault. She was sentenced to 4 years in prison, her pleas for leniency falling on deaf ears. David took a plea deal, testifying against her for a lighter sentence, but his reputation and career were ash. The FBI cleared me, and Jake traced the planted malware back to Mark Lawson's IP address, unraveling the final thread of Emily's frame job. Mark, too, faced charges for obstruction and cybercrimes. Mia and Ethan are in therapy, slowly stitching their lives back together. Mia calls me her hero now, and Ethan says he finally understands what strength looks like. At Cascade Tech, I was promoted to Chief Security Officer, building systems to protect against the very kind of betrayal it endured. Sometimes, at night, I sit on the porch of the Whidbey cabin, listening to the waves crash. The pain is still there, but so is something else: clarity. Emily tried to dismantle me piece by piece, but instead she forged something unbreakable. Betrayal doesn't define me. Survival does. Thank you for listening my story. If you want more raw, real, and gripping stories like this, subscribe to the End Stories channel. Your support keeps these stories alive.